Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the East Windsor Regional School District. Written advance notice of this meeting was provided at least 48 hours ago. Such notice provided the time, date, and location of this meeting and included the agenda to the extent it was known at the time. Notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with law. Minutes of this meeting are being kept by the board secretary and will be made available promptly to any member of the public requesting them from the board secretary at 28A Leshen Lane, Hightstown, New Jersey. Minutes will be provided at cost and in accordance with board policy. Are there any board members present who believe this meeting to be in violation of the Open Public Meeting Act? There being none, we may proceed. In compliance with the fire code of the state of New Jersey, I call your attention to the emergency exits for this room, which are located behind the audience and to our left and right. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item C.
Having read the materials received, I move the agenda be approved as submitted.
Second.
Poll the board, please.
Ms. Berjoli?
Yes.
Ms. Drake?
Yes.
Ms. LaRusso?
Yes.
Ms. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Ms. Lance?
Yes. Item D.
Be it resolved that the East Windsor Regional School District may hold 2 closed sessions at this meeting. These closed sessions concern personnel, staffing report, non-renewals, and the HIV report of May 7th, 2025. Minutes of these closed sessions will be made available to the public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists.
Second.
Poll the board, please.
Ms. Berjoli?
Yes.
Ms. Drake?
Yes.
Ms. LaRusso?
Yes.
Ms. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Ms. Lance?
Yes. We will now move on to item 2, which is a 2023-2024 audit presentation. Okay, we are going to flip the agenda and actually do our student representative report first.
Okay, good evening, everyone. As always, it is a pleasure to be here with you all and share some of our school happenings. So we'd like to start off our report with an exciting update. We have finally reached the time of the year where we are able to share our college decisions with you all. So I'm happy to announce that I will be attending Georgetown University in the fall with a major of global health on a pre-med track.
I'll be attending Carnegie Mellon University to study at the School of Computer Science.
On that note, let's celebrate the class of 2025. You can check out the senior decisions page on the Instagram to see where everyone is headed next, whether it's college, the Army, the Air Force, or any other exciting paths. Our seniors also had their own special celebration on May 2nd, where they got the chance to take pictures with their friends and teachers to mark this huge milestone. We're so proud of all that we've accomplished in these 4 years of high school, and we look forward to ending the year strong.
Now getting into AP testing updates. The second week of AP testing is currently underway. These exams are critical opportunities for our students to potentially earn college credit after their year-long courses. Good luck to all test takers, and congratulations to all finished test takers. To accommodate the logistics of NJSLA testing, we will be implementing a delayed opening schedule starting this Friday and continuing into next week. This adjusted schedule will ensure that proper testing conditions are met for students who are participating in the testing, and communications have already gone out to families via email and grade level Google Classrooms, so check that out.
Now, to give students something to look forward to as they're in the midst of testing season, we have begun our planning for Ramboozle, which is Student Council's biggest end-of-year event that will take place on June 19th from 11 o'clock to 10. It will be an afternoon of food trucks, inflatables, games, and much more activities for students to participate in. This is a great way for students to celebrate the end of the year, so make sure to be in attendance.
Senior awards ceremony will take place on June 3rd. Invitations were mailed out this past Friday, and we're looking forward to celebrating the accomplishments of our graduating seniors.
Next up, we're excited to talk about this year's senior trip happening on June 6th at Hershey Park from 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. Seniors will get to spend the entire day enjoying the amusement park and a meal with their friends. It's the perfect way to celebrate the end of the year and make some final memories together, and we both are definitely looking forward to it.
We'll be hosting a special session to recognize the Seal of Literacy recipients on June 5th. This award honors students who have achieved proficiency in English and at least one other language. This will be a great opportunity for families and friends to celebrate Seal of Literacy certified individuals.
Now, we are also happy to share that our HHS stage will be quite active in the upcoming weeks as students take the stage for multiple performances. For instance, our drama club will be hosting their one act on May 30th at 7 p.m., featuring 3 original student-written, produced, and performed plays. Tickets will be on sale soon for $5, so be sure to keep an eye out for them. Additionally, our school's South Asian Club, or SOTH, will be hosting their annual performance celebrating South Asian culture with fusion dances, a cappella, and skit on June 7th, and tickets will be available for $6 and will also be on sale soon. Our students have worked extremely hard all year for these performances, so be sure to come to these amazing events and offer community support.
Pleased to share that the National Honor Society, or NHS induction ceremony, was held last week. Congratulations to all the inductees on their well-deserved recognition, and thank you to everyone who made this event a success, including school administration and the NHS advisor, Mrs. Fryhout.
Now, as the end of the year rapidly approaches, we have officially initiated the process of selecting our class and student council officers for the next school year. Student council applications were open today and are due this Friday, and interviews for all potential candidates will take place on Thursday, the 23rd. The interviews will be conducted by our student council advisors, Ms. McDougall and Ms. Blanford, as well as the current student body president, Jasmine Nationalis. By next meeting, we hope to introduce you to next year's Board of Education representatives, so we are very excited to see who will be representing our student body in the upcoming year. Stay tuned for our incredible students. We know they will be doing an incredible job. This concludes our report for tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We will now move on to our
Can I just ask a question?
Sure, absolutely. Any questions?
I don't know if you'll be able to answer. Mr. Vincent might have to answer. For Ramboozle, do we have any sort of rain date or accommodations if there's bad weather?
We actually do have a rain date. I can pull it up. But just to accommodate for what happened last year, we do have one. I think it's June 23rd as of right now.
Any other questions?
I do have a question. This is a simple one. The class trip, the senior class trip, do you guys have like a survey that you guys like pick like what you want, or is it just automatic, we're going to Hershey?
Oh, it was a whole survey process. We were debating between doing the cruise that has been done in past years, and then we also introduced Hershey Park. And I think there was one other option, but I don't remember. But this was a class vote, and this is what we're doing this year. So.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. We will now move on to our 2023-2024 audit presentation. I'll hand it over to Mr. Todd.
Thank you, Ms. Lance. Tonight we have the partner in charge from our auditors, Scott Clellan, who will be presenting the results of the 23-24 audit.
Thank you, Mr. Todd, and good evening, everyone. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight to present the results of the past audit. Before I get started, I want to thank the superintendent and Mr. Todd for all the time and effort they put in during the audit process. As we are all aware, there was a lot of extenuating circumstances with the audit process this year, with the significant vacancies in key positions and the illness that was in the business office the early part of the year. So it took a little bit longer than usual. We got there. And I want to thank Paul for pitching in more than he normally has because he didn't have the staff to assist us early in the audit process. So I want to thank him especially for jumping in. From an audit perspective, the audit is a clean opinion placed on it by the audit firm, which means the information provided was accurate for us to place such an opinion on the audit report. And overall, you have a very, very good financial position at the end of the fiscal year. Your overall financial position in your general fund increased by $4.4 million. Also, you had a fund balance in excess of 2%, which equaled $4.5 million or $4.4 million. 4.6 million, which was utilized in your recently approved budget. You also prudently put funds aside in various reserves, which I wish more districts would do so they have funds set aside in difficult times. You have good funds set aside in capital reserve, about 10.4 million. Those funds can be used to pay off debt service. More importantly, they should be used to fund capital projects, and they also could be used towards any ROD grants as the local portion if you ever get into additional ROD grants. You also put together or put aside maintenance reserve funds, which at the end of the year you have about 2.7 million, very consistent with the prior year. Your cafeteria operations did very, very well again. That continues to have a very good financial position of just over $2.4 million of a fund balance or net position. And also, a couple years ago, you put together a self-insurance fund for your health benefits. And in doing so, you set up a separate fund which allowed you to put the full liability of all claims that have been incurred and those an actuarial calculation comes up with what has been incurred but that you have not heard about yet. And the good news is that entire liability is set aside, so it's not affecting your net position. And in addition to that, you have about $1.7 million of funds set aside for any runoff claims or any other emergencies that come up in your health insurance plan due to the fact that you set it up as self-insurance. From a findings perspective, there are a couple more findings this year than we had in the past. Most of those items that we identified were in the first 3 or 4 months of the year. Most of that was attributable to, again, vacancies in key positions and illnesses in the board office. I talked to Mr. Todd about 2 things. One is trying to get the time frame up a little bit earlier next year to get the audit done, and also talked about status of the findings, and I know that he has put before you as a board a corrective action plan which must be implemented as soon as possible. And I know from speaking with him, with Mr. Todd, a lot of those items have already been addressed and are currently being addressed. So that we don't anticipate the same items again next year. Overall, again, good financial health of the district, and we look forward to continuing to work with the board and the district in the future, and I'm more than happy to address any questions that you may have as a board. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Any questions? Go ahead, Jean.
Sorry. I do have one question. So you mentioned that you asked Mr. Todd for him to give you the information earlier, right? How much earlier were you, because the audit is from 23 to 24, so how much earlier as opposed to the time you were given?
Our goal is to get the audit done in December, as opposed to in February or March or so forth. So we're looking to move it back. What's happened in the past couple of years, the state has been, I guess, delinquent in getting us information, and they've sped that process up. So most of the firms are now getting back into a normal time frame, hopefully, so that audit reports can be issued before the end of the calendar year. And from speaking with Mr. Todd, we're looking to meet that goal as well moving forward. So we're hoping to have this meeting in January or February of next year.
Okay, thank you so much.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
You too. Okay, we will now move on to our superintendent's report.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's well tonight. So a couple of things I'd like to highlight. I do want to kind of go back for a moment. I know they just at the exit, but definitely wanted to congratulate our student representatives, Sahana and Sanjeet, for their college selections for the upcoming school year. Obviously, Georgetown and Carnegie Mellon are impressive choices and reflective of the quality of education at Hightstown High School. As just a quick look back as well, last week was Teacher Appreciation Week across the country, but definitely want to highlight one that we took some time to appreciate our educators within the East Windsor Regional School District community. Just want to thank our PTOs in particular who kind of really stepped up to kind of highlight and showcase their level of appreciation for the work of our educators, but also wanted to shout out and praise our teachers for the amazing work that they do day in, day out. A few event updates. Last week I had the opportunity to attend the National Honor Society induction ceremony for the class of 2026. I also want to congratulate our students for their accomplishments there. Also had an opportunity just to kind of share some updates regarding the college plans for the class of 2025 members of the National Honor Society. So it's always, I think for me, just reaffirming, just to get a sense of what some of our students are doing and achieving, not just academically, but as you know, with the National Honor Society, there's a significant amount of energy, I would say, placed on service and a sense of community. So definitely proud of those students' accomplishments. Also last week, I had the pleasure, I'd say, to attend the 8th grade concert. Did not have the chance to attend the 6th and 7th, but I would imagine the quality of performances were equally as impressive. I thought it was, I'd say for a middle school, having served as a middle school principal for almost 10 years, that was a very impressive concert. Also had the opportunity to attend the winter concert, so I tend to like to do somewhat of a comparison. And I would just say that I was thoroughly impressed with the level of progress, more than anything, that our students displayed as it relates to just really their level of confidence, but also precision and discipline as it relates to performance. So very entertaining evening. And I definitely want to commend the middle school music educators under the leadership of the visual performing arts supervisor, Ms. Libby Gopal. Tonight, as it relates to just, we have a number of performing arts events. I mentioned it at the last meeting. I'll say for tonight, actually, we have our GNR chorus concerts happening as we speak at the moment here at the auditorium. But also tonight we have this week, I should say, the remaining portion of the week, we have the PLD concert series, I'll call it. So tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Here at the high school in the auditorium, we'll have the 5th grade concert. On Wednesday, May 14th, here at the high school auditorium at 6 p.m. Again, we'll have the 4th grade concert, and they'll conclude the performances this week with the 3rd grade concert, and that'll be back at PLD in the gymnasium. So I definitely encourage, whether you are directly connected to PLD or not, to try to attend at least one of those performances. Mentioned this the last meeting, but I'll just highlight it again. We are in the throes of state assessments at the moment, New Jersey Student Learning Assessment. Last week, our students in grades 3, 4, and 5 completed the ELA and math sections of the assessment. This week, today and tomorrow, our 5th grade students will also participate in the science portion of that assessment. In terms of the middle school and high school, I believe beginning tomorrow we have the middle school complete, actually May 13th through the 16th. The middle school will be completing the language arts and math sections. And on May 19th and 20th, 8th grade students only will complete the science portion. For the high school, we have the dates of May 16th, 19th, 20th, 21st. Selected students will complete the ELA math and science portions of the assessment. Just a note of welcome tonight. Here with us at the meeting, it was the first day for our new MHK principal, Dr. Albalugo. So she experienced the first official day. She's been here as she's been transitioning, but today was the first official day. So definitely pleased for her to make that transition to our district in the middle school. Look forward to working with her, supporting her as she begins to lead the middle school moving forward. At next month's Board of Education meeting, scheduled for June 9th, we will recognize and celebrate those individuals who are wisely retiring from the East Windsor Regional School District this year. As keeping in tradition, due to the recognition, we'll begin the meeting on June 9th at 6 p.m. We'll have it in the same location here. Also on June 9th, we will provide an update regarding the Student Safety Data System, also known as SSDS, which is a requirement through the New Jersey Department of Education. We'll have our district anti-bullying coordinator, Lauren O'Brien, She'll provide a quick update. It's twice a year that we're required to do this. Districts across the state are required to do it. And they were kind of reporting windows. So in terms of the student safety data system, it collects two types of information from school districts throughout the state. First being incidents of violence and vandalism, harassment, intimidation, and bullying. Also weapons offenses that are reported, substance offenses, not including tobacco, restraint, seclusion, or any other incident leading to a student removal from school. Also, part of the process talks just about any kind of HIP trainings or professional development or HIP prevention programs that we have within the system. So in terms of the reporting windows, Mrs. O'Brien will be reporting on period 1, which collects the data from September 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024. The reporting window for that is from January 1st of this year through June 30th, so she'll be reporting that out during the month of June. And then we have period 2 that we need to submit to the Department of Education. That data that kind of runs from January through the conclusion of the school year. That needs to be submitted within the system by August 11th, 2025, and then districts are then required to kind of report out and communicate that with boards between the dates of September 1st and December 31st. So I'll provide an update regarding when we'll do the period 2 communication, but definitely period 1 will happen at the next meeting. As a reminder, been sharing this in recent weeks due to us not needing to use any emergency closing days this year. We have built 3 into the calendar. And since we did not need to use any, and we would be kind of peeling away in terms of when those would be needed, it did create an extension of the Memorial Day weekend. So in addition to Monday, May 26th, schools will also be closed on Thursday, May 22nd, Friday, May 23rd, and also Tuesday, May 27th. Kid Care will also be closed during that time period, and all schools will reopen on Wednesday, May 28th. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Are there any questions? Okay, there being none, we will move on to our first opportunity for board member comments. Do any of the members of the board wish to speak? Okay, there being none, we will have our first opportunity for public comment. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak? Okay, if you so to speak, approach the podium and state your name and address. And if you can also sign in on the clipboard to the left of the podium. And it'll be helpful to press the little button on the bottom right of the speaker console that'll light up the red dot. And you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
All right. Can you hear me? All right. Jay Garuso, East Windsor. Good evening. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you tonight. After a recent discovery on Wednesday, I have come forth with a letter directly addressed to the administration. I learned the decision was to mandate the quota of the students for our elective to run to 15. I do not fully know the reason for it, but I'm aware of the outcomes that directly resulted from this change. On Wednesday, my counselor told me that 3 electives chosen for my senior year would not be running. The reason being that none of students have signed up to fill the new quota. The 3 electives are Honors Broadcasting, Meteorology, and Graphic Novel. I find it hard to believe that there is a lack of interest for these classes, primarily with Honors Broadcasting, as I know that many have expressed their interest in that class. But this recent change has created a great expectation that no less than 15 students must sign up for it, which is very unreasonable for certain classes. The journey to be given the privilege to be afforded the choice to choose Honors Broadcasting has taken years, and specifically required me to take video production my freshman year, thrills and chills and live in the studio my sophomore year, and narrative film in film beyond reality in my junior year. And now I am suddenly forced to look for alternative electives while also having that choice taken away. It has not only made me disappointed, but greatly frustrated. For the past 3 years of attending Hightstown High School, I have chosen electives that I found to be very intriguing, not just classes that were rumored to be easy. Inevitably, every year, news would come months later, usually in the summer, that those electives were unavailable, and I would be forced to pick new electives, even though the choice were very limited at that time of year. It has happened to me on multiple occasions, and is upsetting and confusing, particularly this year, since this was an honors class that required prerequisites that took time to take. I have also talked to other students, including those I've known for a while, who have also expressed their confusion and frustration about honors broadcasting and other electives they wanted to take next year, and it makes this decision very confusing and very hard to understand and accept. I would like you to reconsider this choice, especially as it relates to honors broadcasting, a class I've waited to take in my senior year.
30 seconds, please.
The cancellation was very unfortunate and unfair to students who have signed up for it next year, and it continues to create confusion for me and other students trying to get their schedules in order from their counselors. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay. Could you please sign in on the clipboard next to that? Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak? Okay, there being none, we will move into our executive session, and we will be away about 30 minutes. Thank you. we now resume our regularly scheduled meeting, and we will start with item 7, old business. And we have our committee meetings listed there, and I believe Michael has an update on us for curriculum. Is that
Yep, so we had the curriculum meeting tonight, and one second. They presented some information about high school electives, just giving us a timetable about they began working on the elective selections the beginning of the calendar year ahead of the year they were before. They use the term roller coaster, describing how certain electives are run in odd, even years to ensure either that they are not over or undersaturated based on demand. Talked a little bit about courses in the Commons, which allows students a chance to kind of check out the electives that are available. They clarified that under 15 requests for an elective shifts that elective to be undersubscribed and most likely will not run in that calendar year. And they went over the number of electives that are running next year and the number of electives that were not running. And some detail around the broadcasting program. There's been some recent questions around the honors broadcasting class, which was brought up today in public comment as well, that it's undersubscribed, but it's a elective driven by prerequisites, and there's concern around the unavailability of that class for this upcoming year. They are introducing a new class. It's broadcasting, sports, news, and entertainment. It's a full year, non-honors level class. But they're hoping that it's on the agenda tonight for us to approve the addition. And they're hoping to use that as a feeder program into other broadcasting electives. We went over summer programs. It's a continuation of what I think was some pretty great programming we've had the last several years for rising 1st through 2nd grade. There's literacy programs, rising 3 through 5 math and literacy, rising 4th gifted and talented program. There's rising 1st through 5th literacy and ESL program running this summer. An extended school year program for all students in district with an IEP. There's a rising 6th through 9th ELA class and a math class as well for 4 weeks. So hopefully those students can get some extra help. There's also some enrichment opportunities. Rising 6th grade, there's a pre-algebra readiness class. Rising 8th, there's an advanced science readiness class. AP enrichment. STEM edition is happening. Rising 8th has an ELA advanced class to help students acclimate to what an advanced level class might look like. Rising 9th grade, there's a first-time honors prep for people getting ready to go into high school level honors coursework. And then there's a multilingual learner enrichment class for rising 6th and rising 9th students, which is 4 weeks of supplemental learning to reduce language loss over the summer. And then there's a repeat of last year's summer music program for 5th to 8th graders, 4-week class culminating in a concert. There's 9th through 12th grade credit recovery opportunity for students to earn credit for up to 2 classes using an online program, online platform called Apex. And then rising freshmen, there's 2 opportunities for a 3-part day, day in the life of a RAM, where and who do I go to, and team building. And on the second of the 2 dates, there's going to be a barbecue, which sounds fun. Middle school schedule changes, they are going to be modifying the world language program for 7th and 8th grade to an every other day schedule, effectively cutting those classes back to roughly like half. Yeah. So it's effectively they're getting, instead of 2 full years of education, it'll be a 1-year program spread over 2 years. And then the alternating days would become a day for additional electives. And that's the summary. Did I catch everything?
I'm looking forward to the music camp, which is, always has a great concert at the end. Yes, July 24th.
They need to find a way to incorporate a final performance for some of the other classes. Like a mathletes or summer mathletes, that's not a thing.
Regarding the world language at the middle school, what precipitated that? What was the reasoning behind cutting those classes to middle school students only having 1 year of world language prep? What was
There's a host of reasons. I mean, I don't want to use the word cutting, but really kind of redefining the program. I mean, I've never been in a place where you've had world language every day as a middle school student. This is the first time I've experienced that. So I think the issue is we're recognizing twofold. One, it's treating the standards from the state talk about students being exposed to world language at that middle school level. Obviously, we want to make sure that we're preparing them for a high school transition and the world language graduation requirement. Having it every day, one could argue that it's deemed as an academic course. There can be some discussion surrounding that. One could argue that it has an academic base, but I think it's usually approached from kind of a cultural immersion, and then you're using that language conversationally. We're also dealing with some of the realities of shortages regarding world language teachers. I'm going to be completely honest with you. So when we're looking at balancing class sizes and creating an environment where we believe we've got an adequate number of teachers, but also balancing numbers within those other unified arts programs, this just appears to be not a cutting, but something that we think is a little bit more meaningful in streamlining the process as it relates to a 2-year program. So there's a host of factors there. We think this is something that is good for kids. We think that it enables students at the middle school level to kind of engage in a marking period's worth of some exploratory options, expanding that unified arts offerings because it does open up another block. So ultimately we believe, and also the other piece is when we're looking at the data in terms of students having 2 years of world language at the middle school, where they should be theoretically ready for the year 3 transition. That hasn't been the case in recent years, to be completely honest with you. So we have not seen that level of student readiness having the 2 years, and it could be a host of factors. I think sometimes there's an apprehensiveness of taking that leap when students are transitioning to the high school, but we just haven't seen that bang for buck in terms of world language every day for 2 years, and then propelling students in large part when they make that transition to the high school.
Follow-up question then, in terms of our teachers at the high school, will we be revamping, not necessarily the curriculum, but the pace of what they're learning and where they're starting, like basically starting at ground zero on day 1 of freshman year with world language? If they're just learning a little bit, they should probably do a review and go from there. We're going to look at how we're teaching the students.
It will be ground zero. I mean, students are going to have 2 years, which is still, I don't want us to discredit what having 2 full years of an every other day delivery of content would be. So it's not ground zero, but we would assess their readiness when they're exiting from the middle school to determine the appropriate recommended placement for high school.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Any other questions? Okay, there There being none, we'll move on to item 8, our second opportunity for board member comments.
I know Mark mentioned the concerts last week, but I found myself at all 3 of the concerts, which just because of the blended 7th grade band situation with wind ensemble, which I thought was a really excellent way to give parents who have someone that straddles any of the grades to be able to see, a grade level that they may not be familiar with, but being in the building 3 nights in a row for those 3 concerts is probably the most exciting thing I've seen in this district personally. I know there's plenty of great stuff happening, but because I've got 2 kids in the music programming, watching. Yeah. But it's I'm an arts guy. That's what I know best. So I don't ever want to come off as one note, but being there 3 nights in a row, all those kids, all the instructors, the work that Libby has put in is so incredibly impressive, and I can't express just how happy I am to be part of the district with a program like that. And I know it's not the only one, so it speaks, I think, to the DNA of what's going on, that we're able to provide. Some people might not necessarily think is a core academic pursuit, but I think it's so incredibly important that we support the arts. And thank you for all you do and what the whole team does to support that.
Any other questions? Comments? Okay, then I'll offer our second opportunity for public comments. Any members of the public wish to speak? Okay, there being none, we'll move on to item 9.
Mandated policies for second reading. A, policy 5111, eligibility of resident, non-resident students. B, policy 5460, high school graduation. C, policy 5512, harassment, intimidation, or bullying. D, policy 5533, student smoking. E, policy 7441, electronic surveillance in school buildings and on school grounds. F, policy 8500, food services. G, policy 9163, spectator code of conduct for interscholastic events.
Second.
Any questions?
Yes, I actually have questions for 3 of the policies. The first one is policy 5533. On page 1, paragraph 2, it talks about any other matter, right? So policy 5533, when it talks about smoking, and it's page 1, paragraph 2, and it says any other matter. So it says lighted, and then it says any other matter. Yes. Right. Mm-hmm. So, right, so I guess 2 parts. So lighted, does it have to be lighted? And then any other matter, does that consider, because people can smoke on anything, right? So does that talk about those items also? Is that what any other matter means?
So a couple things. This piece, just in terms of breaking down kind of like what they're defining and what the policy is overseeing, when we're referring to smoking, it's when you're typically inhaling something that's lit or coming from a device that you have to inhale something. So I think the matter is like a catch-all. If you're engaged in something that you're inhaling or smoking that may not fit that criteria.
But then what if they're in possession of it, but they're not smoking it?
That's a different violation. Yeah, that'd be a different issue.
Okay. All right. So then when we look at policy, thank you for that. we look at policy 7441, and it talks about, on paragraph 2, it talks about the recordings can be in student records. Can you explain that? Is it only disciplinary proceedings that can be in the student record if it's on video, or is it anything that can be in their student record as long as they're on the video?
Let me put it this way. We're not actually going to put the video in the student's record, but it's almost like these board meetings, right? The fact that we record them and then they're accessible. One could argue that someone would like to say what Jean Bourgeois shared on May 12th as part of her record as a board member. Okay, so therefore it's something that can be pulled as evidence to substantiate something that may have occurred because there's visual proof, right?
All right, thank you. And then the last one is policy 9163. 2C, right? So 2 talks about the board prohibits unsportsmanlike conduct. C says entering the field of play before, during, or after. But if the event is happening and they attend, how is that a violation? And sometimes, like I know for me, I like to go to an event early, right? To beat the so I can get the parking spot or whatever. So the person can get it, it could be a violation if the person arrives early.
Now, this is referring to actually the field of play. So it's, we're talking about a basketball game, we don't want spectators on the basketball court itself. If it's a football game or a soccer game, we don't want spectators on the field of play. Something like this just happened in the NBA recently. Did you see that? Where an excited father of a player entered the court at the end of the game, and it created some tension. That's what it's referring to.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Poll the board, please.
Ms. Bourgeois,
Yes.
Ms. Drake,
Yes.
Ms. LaRusso,
Yes.
Ms. Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Ms. Lands.
Yes. Item 10.
Mandated regulations for second reading. Item A, Regulation 9320, cooperation with law enforcement agencies.
Second.
Poll the board, please. Sorry, any questions? Poll the board, please.
Ms. Bourgeois,
Yes.
Ms. Drake,
Yes.
Ms. LaRusso,
Yes.
Ms. Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Ms. Lands.
Yes. Item 11.
Recommended policies for second reading. Item A, Policy 5701, plagiarism. Item B, Policy 5710, student grievance.
Second.
Any questions?
I do have a question. So my question is, these policies, how are the students made aware of them? Are they in the handbooks, like when they enter school every year, or are they expected to look online to see them? Like, how do they know about them?
Great question. Plagiarism should be in the handbook. At the secondary level, it's referred to. We also have an AI policy now that's also referring to plagiarism within that. So I will double check, but I'm pretty confident that the plagiarism, a reference to the plagiarism or integrity policy is in the handbook. Student grievance, I'm not sure. I'll double check on that. But we should make that, not that I want to promote student grievances, but I do think you're right. I think right now student grievance probably just lives in our stress SMA policy portal, which is accessible online. I'm not sure if that's in the handbook.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Poll the board, please.
Just, yeah, I had a question.
Sorry.
Sorry, it's okay.
Sorry.
I want to get back to the grievance process.
It says a return notification. Is that normally through email, or they actually need a paper copy signed by the initiator, or like an email format is acceptable? I was just trying, it didn't say specifically, like what.
Could you just tell me where you are?
I am at present in writing B. Let's see, where is it? Second level.
Oh, second level?
Yeah, and it says like any documentation grievance given to a statement.
Oh, it's just putting something in writing.
Not, but is it like
No, I mean,
email or is it a paper copy? That's what I meant.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just that they want to go beyond verbal. So it just has to be written down.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, poll the board, please.
Ms. Brajoli,
Yes.
Ms. Drake,
Yes.
Ms. LaRusso,
Yes.
Ms. Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Ms. Lance.
Yes. Item 12.
Motion to approve routine items by exception. Having read the materials received, I move that the board approve the routine agenda items as submitted. Item A, staffing for May 12th, 2025. Item B, HIB report from April 28th, 2025. Item C, approved new field trip sites for upcoming trips. Item D, approved 3 new HHS scholarship opportunities. Item E, technology recycling batch number 56. Item F, approved new high school course, broadcasting, sports, news, and entertainment. Item G, travel and related expenses, May 12th, 2025. Item H, surplus property, wheelchair. Item I, out-of-district placement. Item J, co-op purchases. Item K, tax levy payment schedule for 2025 and 26. Item L, tuition agreement for the Roosevelt Borough 2025-2026. Item M, transportation agreement with the UCESC, MCSSSD, ESCNJ, and MOESC. Item N, resolution authorizing the use of state contract and cooperative purchasing programs for full year 2025 and 2056. Item O, Bergen County Co-op membership. Item P, approval of professional services for 2025-26 school year. Item Q, approval of proprietary providers. Item R, Chartwell contract renewal year 2. Item S, accept 2024 audit. Item T, transportation bid results. Item U, approval of remote board member participation. Item V, board meeting minutes for April 28th, 2025. Item W, executive session board minutes for April 28th, 2025. Item X, revised board minutes March 24th, 2025. Item Y, report of board secretary and financial report for March 2025. Item Z, expense and transfer reports of school monies report for March 2025. Item AA, bill list of May 12th, 2025. Item BB, job description, maintenance supervisor.
Second.
Any questions?
I just have a comment on F for the new high school course, broadcasting, sports, news, and entertainment. I just want to say that I think it's great that we're revamping that course in hopes of getting other students interested in it. However, it doesn't really take the place of honors broadcasting and the students that really wanted to take that class and cannot take it.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I need some clarification on something. Paul, if you can help me out. Section S, accept 2024 audit. They had some issues and they had findings regarding some health benefit plan, and the employee's deduction was not calculated correctly or something like that. Do we have an actual software that automatically does this, or we have to do this manually?
No, for the most part, it does calculate for us, otherwise we'd never be able to get it done. What we have to do, though, because of the software, if you could, thank you. If you're a first-year employee, we do have to do a manual calculation. So of the probably 6,000 calculations that are done throughout the year, of course, the way it works, the auditors found one. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. So it's in there, it's duly noted, and we'll make sure that we double check and triple check our work. But it was one instance out of about 6,000 that we do a year.
Another one I had where they had the reconciliation of the student activity funds, student body activities. Supposedly they were not, package was not submitted and not reconciled. Did we have this similar issue in 23? Because this is related to 24. I don't remember seeing this.
Which comment are you looking at?
I'm
again?
looking at 2024 dash 11, student body activities. A district assures the disbursement package contains all pertinent information, including invoices, checks, requests, and approvals, and so forth.
Yeah, that actually wasn't a finding. So what they actually have to make is statements in there that they reviewed it and everything was acceptable. So that wasn't a finding, actually.
Do we need to keep it in there then?
Yes, so there are certain statements that the Department of Finance make our auditors actually affirm to the positive that things are happening. So that report is just not necessarily of compliance and something's not happening and should be. They have to make positive statements that things are happening as they should be.
All right, thank you.
Hi, I have a question on L, tuition agreement for Roosevelt Borough. It talks about their funding is not going, I'm sorry, their costs are not going up. Is there a reason for that? Is it because we own our buses?
So the board made a decision 7 years ago to hold the Roosevelt funding flat in the form of tuition and transportation. The decision that was made at the time is that, we're not really crammed for space, so it's kind of found money. And with their financial distress, every year I'm surprised they have another year in them to keep on going. That was just the decision that was made back in the day.
Just so clear, that decision is not cemented. The board would like to revisit that discussion. It certainly can. And we don't really have it. I think we have about 40 students from Roosevelt enrolled from grades 6 through 12 total. So it's not a huge number of students. So.
Yeah, on average, it's about like 2 kids per grade level.
All right, thank you.
I also had a question or clarification for item F. This new broadcasting course, will we not run that until 26-27, or will it be offered as like an augmented curriculum for our existing broadcasting course for 25-26?
It's a good question. We're looking to offer it. Just go back to Nicole's point. Nicole's point well taken. The goal with this is obviously look to expand the feeder system for honors broadcasting so we can have what we think will be a viable number. In terms of this course, we are looking to offer it for the 25-26 school year, so it will deem to be kind of a reconfiguration or revision to some coursework that we currently have related to TV production. So the goal is to offer it for the upcoming year.
And will our guidance counselors be reaching out to students who have expressed an interest in
Yes.
video production?
Definitely.
And maybe didn't take it yet? Okay,
Definitely.
thank you. Any other questions? Pull the board, please. Oh, sorry, Michael.
Just to get it on the record, is there an active process happening right now to review the enrollment for the honors broadcasting class? Because I know there have been public questions around the accuracy of the number of students that were recorded as requesting the class.
I'm not familiar with that.
There was
an
a note-
accuracy issue, but
There was a note received that the feedback was that only 8 students had registered, but their student was not in that list. And I just want to make sure if there's any additional outreach that can be done, just to see if it's possible to run that program.
I believe that that's already happened, but I will definitely follow up to determine is there anything we've not considered as it relates to determining whether or not that course can run. As far as I know, we've done that. And in terms of the 8 versus 9 thing, I'm not sure. They're not to get too in the weeds here, but sometimes when this determination is made that the course is not going to run, sometimes students we've determined the student won't be going in that direction and kind of gets pulled away. So I'm not sure exactly what occurred there, but in terms of the question regarding, I think if there's anything else we can explore, I think we've been doing that, but I will confirm with the high school guidance department to ensure that the 8 or 9 is kind of exhausting who we believe may have some level of interest in that course for the upcoming school year, and also the prerequisites that are in line with that. I mean, that's part of the larger conversation is, yes, we obviously wanted something closer to 15. Obviously, we would work within that. We currently have, I believe, for this year, 16 students enrolled in that course. The larger question that we're asking is, what potentially may be steering students in other directions that may be eligible for that course. We heard tonight it could be some circumstances where there may be some juniors that were eligible but decided for various reasons to say, I'll wait on that. So we're in the process of trying to determine why do we go from having 16 students enrolled to now 8 or 9 students who are potentially exploring that course for the upcoming school year. Why was there a drop-off there? So there's a host of factors related to it, but we are in the process of trying to determine what we think the main ones are that we can course correct. All right.
Is there ever a time, and I understand, there most likely will not be because it is an AP class. Is there ever a time where, in order to be able to run a class, you would look at people who are close to meeting the prerequisites, who within the next 2 years need that class to fulfill an arc to be able to either?
I'm not sure. I mean, typically we wouldn't. I mean, if you've got a student that didn't take a prerequisite, if you take it out of this coursework, you typically are saying, especially at the honors level, we don't want to set students up to be unsuccessful. So I think that we'd like to take a look at a number of factors, but I don't think we could say just because you're interested in something absent having some evidence of prerequisite understanding that we think will put you on the trajectory to be successful. I think that will be difficult for us to take a look at. I think at times, though, you're right. We do look at situations where we want to have a kind of a broader sense of criteria for what we think a student's eligibility might be. I think we constantly try to do that, but I think we definitely don't want to do it in a way. We want to do it in a way we feel a sense of responsibility in terms of putting a student in a good situation. So there are definitely times where when we look at kind of like the multiple criteria that could make a student eligible, with engaging in some of that work right now with our summer programming. Obviously different content, different level, but we are looking at students that we think are close to meeting eligibility for certain advanced coursework, and we're providing some support to get them there. But I never want to look at it like as a one-pronged determination for that to occur. So for this, it will be a little bit difficult because you have to have some coursework that you needed to complete in order to be eligible for this particular course.
Just with my concern, and I don't want to just focus on this because I understand there's other classes that don't meet the requirement to run, but it's a little concerning just hearing the public commentary, both through email and speaking here, a requirement for completing this track that people are working multiple years towards being able to achieve are unable to get to it.
Yeah, my only counter argument is that we can engage in a conversation about. I mean, there's over 20 courses that aren't being available next year under the elective umbrella. So I understand that this is creating some attention. But if we're going to have a discussion, as I shared with the board before, if we believe that the class should run with 8 students in it as an elective, let's have a conversation about what that means. Because we can't just cherry pick a course to say, for a host of reasons, we're going to run it. If the board wants to engage in a discussion regarding the number of students that we think should be the viable number for a course to run, then we have to talk about that. We have to talk about the budgetary implications of that. And we have to talk about being able to staff that. So we can definitely talk about, are we offering too many courses? We can have that conversation. Can we talk about potentially looking at some courses? And I do think we need to engage in this, and I share this with Nicole, where we do need to take a look back to say, you know, if we were looking at some courses over a 2 to 4 year window that we believe have been under-enrolled and therefore not running, you know, what does that mean for us? Should we be looking at maybe combining courses? Look, we're trying to do something right now to create more of a feeder. So I do think it's you know, we're offering courses in the program of studies because we think they're worthwhile. They fit a student's pathway. We want to make sure there's an element of interest there. But the reality is there are electives, right? So when you have electives, that means students are electing to take them or not. So some of those courses aren't going to have the requisite number of students in them in order for them to be a viable course. So that's the piece that I think we definitely need to reflect on, but I would hate for the conversation to be, or the narrative or the takeaway to be, that we're being somewhat unfair to honors broadcasting when there's a host of other courses that we're not offering due to there not being enough students who signed up for it. So I'm definitely open to getting a sense of, like, we can talk about having too many courses, and then we can reduce the number of courses that we're going to offer. And I think we would also face some backlash potentially because there may not be enough offerings. So I think it's probably striking that balance. I think the main piece right now related to this particular course is that I think the first question is why, if it's so popular, why do we only have 8 or 9 students sign up for it? And what are some of the competing factors there that may have deterred a student or maybe had that student place their energy in a particular different direction? In terms of the situation regarding the student who talked tonight, I think it's a very legitimate issue in that student's regard, because the student was eligible to take the course as a junior. For whatever reasons, I'm not sure if it was advice provided by whomever, but the student decided to wait until the senior year to take the course. Now the course is not available. That's a frustrating circumstance, and maybe we need to have a conversation about, and this course historically has been something that's been available. So once again, I think that the initial question just needs to be, why didn't we have that same level of draw from students? And is it something that we can avoid? Is it something that we may have created as it relates to students having other options available to them? So I think we just have to kind of go through that analysis to determine, obviously, this was not deemed as a roller coaster course, as far as I know. So therefore, I think that probably lends itself for a student to think, I can wait, and for it to not be available is unfortunate. But I would venture to say there are probably some other courses that also fall under that umbrella. So I think we just need to take a look at our elective process kind of holistically to get a sense of those courses that are not running for this upcoming school year. I think outside of one, I think, once again, it's just for the upcoming school year. It doesn't mean they're gone forever. But I realize for a student that needs it or wanted to take it, and this is their last opportunity to do so, that's a concern. But I venture to say there's probably some other courses and some other students who are also experiencing that. So I'd love it if students could get what they want, right? The choices that they've selected, especially when it's on a particular trajectory as it relates to some advanced coursework. So we'll take a look at it kind of in a bigger picture to get a sense of what we can control and what we can avoid moving forward.
So looking at the ones that are not running from what was presented today, 6 of them are either identified as AP or honors. So my question is, focusing on that cohort, I understand that an elective class is an elective people are choosing. An AP or an honors course with a prerequisite load means that there's a student on a track, and I get that that population is going to diminish over time, always, because they're going to be winnowing down their choices to hyper focus on a specific area of study to prepare for college. And we're talking a fairly small universe of kids that are kind of filtering through this level. So what can we do for those 6 classes that are not running next year to ensure that those students, if they're going into their senior year, are getting a level of support to be able to work on that expertise level they're looking at as a key component of their college applications.
Yeah, what I'd say is we have to take a look at that, because just because those are AP and honors courses, it doesn't mean that those courses are always geared towards a specific student's journey. What you'll find is with more advanced, students who select advanced coursework, oftentimes when they get to senior year, sometimes it can create the opportunity for them to look for some other experiences in their senior year that may not be as rigorous, or they may just feel like they've got their pathway set and they want to actually engage in some electives that can be something that kind of broadens their horizons, or something that just can be part of the curriculum that they may not have dug into. So we'll take a look at that. I don't want to be irresponsible tonight, but I don't want to equate the fact that some honors and AP courses are not running, electives are not running, with something that's preventing students from, something that's enabling them to kind of pursue some post-secondary experiences. If that's the case, we do need to take a look at that. I think our counselors do a great job in terms of navigating students towards what they think is most appropriate as it relates to the courses before them. So I do know that the counselors engage in alternative options for students if it relates to something that may not be offered. Typically, I'd say that we generally actually have kind of, I don't want to say kind of like a replication, but I know we have some commonality with some coursework. So if one avenue may not be available, usually there's something that's comparable that enables you to still kind of pursue that. But I want to dig into that a little bit more, just to provide more of a responsible answer to that, okay?
Yeah, and I'm only using this because this is fresh data that we were provided right before committee. So, but just
yeah, we could definitely share that. Yeah, based on what I know about the high school experience, I don't think, obviously, honors broadcasting can serve as an example that probably will run contrary to that, because we don't kind of have like this parallel honors TV production type of course. But I think for those other areas, there is something that's an alternative. But I'll take a look at that, and I'll definitely get back to the board with something a little bit more definitive in terms of what that means.
yeah, because like just as that example, honors broadcasting and honors narrative filmmaking are both not running. And if I look at the courses that are running, there are no honors or AP classes in that category. So
yeah, and I used that. I said that would potentially be the exception.
right. So just to give an alternate, there is no alternate, even as a retake for additional credit or anything. So
right. So it just speaks to, in order to have a class, you need students in the class. I just hate to, I just gotta say it, and you just do, and we can have a conversation about the minimum number. It's just, we just have to have that discussion, because I can't support it for just one course. That will be the standard for all electives, and I just think we'd have to engage in that discussion and the lack of sustainability that will come along with that. So I definitely will revisit this and provide the board with a little bit more of a definitive update in terms of where we are.
Just to follow up, and I've talked to you about this extensively with we do offer an extensive list of electives in high school. If you could get back to us just on maybe there is too many choices, or I don't know, is it something in terms of students being more involved with a particular thing, whether it be honors broadcasting or a business class? It can't just be the students just trying to what else is being done by the school? It can't just be the students trying to get other people to take the class. Is it something that the teachers are doing? Is it something administration is supposed to be doing? Is it something that counselors are supposed to be doing for all of the classes that aren't being run? Whether it be that there's too many choices, is it a scheduling issue? Is it the teachers that are teaching it? Is it the material that's being taught? Just if we could just have a follow-up on that.
Yeah, so just so I'm not misunderstood, I did not make any insinuation that it's a student issue.
No, that's not what I meant. No, that's not what I meant.
But you said that.
Well, then I guess you...
Yeah, I'm not blaming the students. I'm saying...
No, that you were blaming the students. I'm just saying that there's not student interest, but there has to be a way for the students, other students, to be involved or know about the classes. I think this year, was this the first year, or have we done elective, like a...
With the courses in the Commons, they had the courses in the Commons.
Was this the first year, or had it been done in other years?
I don't know.
I didn't know that. My kids didn't tell me about that.
No, but in terms of, I think it could be a few different factors. I do think we have a lot of elective options. And so therefore we do, and I don't want to put the onus on teachers solely, but, and we had this conversation as well. I mean, you know.
Right, I don't think it's just one. It's not teachers or students.
No, I'm just saying, like,
I'm just
students
curious.
typically are going to sign up for a course under the elective umbrella, that they have some level of, especially as you kind of elevating in the grades in a particular level, it's going to be based on some level of interest that you have or something that you believe is on a pathway to a potential post-secondary experience. And what happens is students do have choices. So the question is, right, if someone is not choosing a particular course, it doesn't mean they may not be interested in it. It could be that they may have more interest in something else. Or it may be that they've actually experienced some of that course and they believe that they like to delve into something else. So I think that the reality is this is just the reality. There's always going to be some electives that don't have enough students. I mean, that's high school USA. So I do think we need to still take a look at that and look for ways in which we can blend, merge, combine. But teachers understand, and the administration will support that. And maybe we can go to greater lengths to do it. But there is a selling that comes along with the course, especially when students have the ability to choose something else. That's just the reality of where we are. So I definitely will make sure we take a look at what we're offering. And I think we do need to engage in an analysis where if we've got some courses that have not been populated, I think we need to ask ourselves why. And I think you're right. I think there's a host of factors that may contribute to some of those issues. I want to make sure that if there's any barriers that we may have as a system, then we want to make sure we remove those. We're talking about an honors course or an AP course, obviously we're talking about prerequisites, but I think the larger issue is here, it's student interest, and those interests sometimes can be in various places. So I think, so we'll take a look at it, all right?
Yeah, this report that you have from the curriculum, is that a public information, or I don't know which courses are in or out? Where would it be posted, if any? Like if I'm a parent going in high school and I see, like prior year they had X amount of AP classes, now I'm looking at the curriculum this year. How do we get this information? Like who do I?
Well, you know, it's an ebb and flow. You may have an AP course that's not available this year, but another AP course is
So
available.
where is this information?
Well, right now, information regarding courses will be specific to your child. The courses are in the program studies. All of the courses that are available that students could select from are contained within the program of studies, which is a publicly accessible document. It's on the website.
It's on that. Okay.
Yeah. So it's just as we're going through the course selection process, the courses are you know, students can avail themselves to those courses, but when the dust settles and we start to actually look at who's actually signed up for a particular course, yeah, we definitely wanted to run honest broadcasting, but we didn't have enough students.
No,
That's
I'm
all.
just trying to
So
find out
in
where
terms
this
of
information is.
where the courses are,
Right. And it, like when you know, you're right, it's number of these kids who are participating in the course study. But now every year it's going to differ because you're not going to get X amount coming one year, like you said.
right?
Any class. I'm not picking one. So now, is that program study guide updated every year to reflect
we
what is
update the-
offered now, or
Well,
do they write it's added or it's removed due to something?
that's a good question. So what I'll say is, you know, for example, even though we're talking a lot about honest broadcasting. So we'll use honest broadcasting as an example. You know, honest broadcasting is not going to be removed from the program of studies. It's just a course that it appears will not run for the 25-26 school year. It doesn't, the course is not canceled. It's not vanished. It's just not running at this point in time as we move forward. So, so the program of studies contains all of the courses that are approved to be available. So we would rarely erase courses. Sometimes we update, modify, and through updating the curriculum, we may change the title of a course and it takes the place of something before. But just because something like those courses that are actually not eligible to run, the 24 courses or so, we'll take a look at those, but I anticipate we're not looking to, unless it's something that just has not had traction for multiple years, it appears that they're not vanishing from the program of studies.
Just to clarify on Jagrudi's question, I think maybe that's what you're asking, those courses that are not eligible to run at the moment. My perception, based on my experience, is that guidance counselors are telling students, and it trickles down from there. Is there anything beyond that that's being done to notify parents? Parents are not being told, it's just the students being told.
I'm not sure. I know that the first place is the student, and oftentimes the guidance counselor communicates with the student to indicate that that particular course or those courses aren't available. And let's talk about some other things that you were looking to do. I don't think that's always an immediate parent communication. It could be, but I don't think it's always the case.
I think the issue here comes to, it's like you start freshman year, take one course, then you follow, there's a track that you're following, you're going up level. This is very strange that you're not getting those same people who were on the track. You're right, they probably want to experience something else, but it's very different number, like, you have X amount, and now it jumped down 50%. Like all of a sudden they're not interested in broadcasting or any other classes because they put in their time for the 3 years to qualify with this last course that it's very strange.
I don't think it's strange. I think it comes down to choices. So I have to be honest with you. I mean, it comes down to choices. So I think we'll take a look at that, though. I do think we have, I think we should do that for any course that's not being offered for the upcoming school year due to under-enrollment. I think we should ask ourselves why. So that's my only question. I think we just need to engage in that process. And there's a host of factors, but I definitely think it's helpful to be able to articulate why we think it is. So I will provide the board with some more thoughtful feedback regarding that, so we're not just speculating. All right.
Thank you.
Mark, one last question, I'm sorry. For our feeder, can you refresh my memory for the rising ninth graders? Like, I know they receive the program of studies, but is there anything hands-on? Are they coming up to the high school during their orientation and meeting with students who are taking electives? I know we do things about the clubs, but do they have any one-on-one opportunities to speak with existing students about electives that are being offered? Is that something we could add to the orientation?
One-on-one? That would be
Or
it's a
group-wise.
difficult undertaking with 400 students, but definitely when they have the in-person experience, which is kind of, it's usually around March, so it's slightly removed, but they do have opportunities to obviously visit the high school as rising freshmen. I do not believe, I think they also have, I believe, our Rising Freshman Parent Night. There used to be some information regarding what those options were, but I don't know if there's any direct communication with students regarding electives. I don't think so. But we can take a look at what that means as it relates to the elective process. A little different for rising freshmen in terms of the elective process, but we can revisit to get a sense of what that may look like. But to answer your question, I don't believe we're engaging students with one-to-one or one small group discussion regarding elective choices. All right. Now, it may anecdotally occur when they're here and the peer leaders are engaging with them. I think there's more of a broader conversation regarding electives in the process. But in terms of some smaller, more in-depth discussion, I'm not sure. But I'll double check on that.
Okay. Maybe something more purposeful we can look at. And then, when is the last time we actually had a curriculum fair? I know we used to have them, but I don't recall if we've had one since COVID or...
We haven't. The last one we had was in 2019.
Maybe that's something we could look at as too, and then students can get excited about what comes next, and just something to consider.
Well, the curriculum fair, I mean, I experienced it once. I will say that it definitely was meaningful, but heavy lift. I think the notion was, can we kind of make pockets of experiences to engage the community? as it relates to some of our instructional offerings. So COVID played a factor into it, but I think the larger issue was, it was almost like, is there a way we can do this in a little bit more of a micro packaging versus the macro? The macro was great because you had a chance to see elementary through high school, both, you know, from a core curriculum, but also a co-curricular standpoint. It was just a lot to digest in one evening. So I think we can definitely revisit conceptually what that looks like. I think we've kind of fragmented things in certain nights, and now you've got like STEM nights and certain things, but we can definitely look to revisit, or at least take stock in terms of what we think we currently do that resembles that, in terms of engaging in that process in the same way that it occurred the last time I recall was my first year here. We can have that discussion. I know we did definitely talk about that, and it just felt, like I said, it felt like a heavy lift, and we weren't sure if that was the most meaningful use of energy. We can definitely revisit that.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I do have one question for, for why in the report for the federal funding, it says 11 cents. It says the intergovernmental federal is 11 cents. It's line, I guess in assets, it's 142.
Which report are you looking at? The board secretary's report?
Yes, I'm looking at the
What page number?
first page.
Page 1, line 142.
And it says 11 cents.
What's your,
I
what is
just-
it?
I just don't, yeah, I don't understand what 11 cents is for.
It's probably just a miscellaneous amount that's due from a federal source.
Also, like they owe us 11.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other questions? Poll the board, please.
Ms. Brajoli?
Yes, but abstain from you.
Thank you. Ms. Drake?
Yes.
Ms. LaRusso?
Abstain from X, yes to the rest.
That was X.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Ms. Lands?
Line item G, abstain from the information related to myself, but yes to everything else on line item G. Abstain from V, W, and X, and yes to everything else.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have no need for a second executive session this evening, so that concludes our regularly scheduled board meeting.